Welcome back to another LinuxGameCast Weekly, the show that covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. This week, God gave away a copy of Neverwinter Nights to just about everyone, and we have a simple way to get that business installed. Then we're going to talk about Darksiders, because a developer commented on the state of the Linux port by basically avoiding the question.
Valve adds some more VR options, so now you have a choice of what device face fucks you. And a company promises a magical hardware fix for an issue plaguing Linux gaming. It also makes tacos.
You are not prepared for the winter sale. Or chances are you're like us and you already have all the games you'll probably never play. Zenimax also huffs and puffs, and another open source project falls before rich assholes.
I'm Vin Stone here at LGC Actual, switching the bits, doing the nightmare sauce, nay, nightmare fuel, all under Linux, joined by our man up north, living proof that all Canadians do in fact speak French, Master Sfeng.
Bonjour.
All the way from South Portugal, that's Pedro Mateus.
I used to speak French a long time ago.
Pierre du Map!
Speaking their own version. Chat Realm Dynamic joining us live, helping us form that last little special bit known as Cocaine Voltron. Before we get started, we'd like to see what's going on in each other's life organs. J-Baby, what's up this week?
Oh, man, apparently everyone wants a piece of me this week. I've been in and out of interviews. I had 3 on Friday. I have an offer on the table, so we're going to see how that goes. Because, again, everyone wants a piece. So, hopefully by this time next week, I will be employed.
Well, that's probably a good time for Jordan to get employed because I am unemployed. And unlike last time, I am not happy about it. I very much enjoyed working for Badirco. They were really awesome people, but dropping customers as they were, they couldn't really afford to keep me in. So Ven's the only one still technically with a job.
Oh man,
there can only be one full-time employed LGC member
basically,
at any given
right?
time.
And I don't even consider what I do like work. I'm just waiting for that to die, and it's like whenever. I did get a hold to the charters, and they came out 9:00 Sunday morning after our show. So I was like, I'm taking one for the team, guys. Guy came, he looked, and he was like, good news, bad news. Good news, no issues on your end. Everything's coming up. Millhouse, bad issue. It's kind of a known issue that we have, and there's no immediate time plan to fix it. So I got on the Twitters with a contact I had through DM, and I'm like, listen to this bullshit, right? And they're like, you know what? We're going to look into that. Monday rolls around. I'm like, what the holy... Nobody knocks them. I live in a gated community, son. It's like, what's going on? It's like, oh, open the door. The look of the face from this gentleman was like, who the fuck are you? To get him, because this guy was not field. He was clearly office man. You can always tell by their shoes. He did not have on work boots. And he came, took a picture, and he's like, we'll see what we can do. And I was like, don't ever show up to my house unannounced again. But one thing we do announce every week is the horse.
Yeah, and the horse is ready to pilfer your wallet because it's the Steamworks
Update of the week.
No, Dad, no!
Yep, it's coming. It's the Steam Winter Sale, or the Christmas Sale, or a holiday sale, or whatever you call it, according to the Eurogamer article. So apparently someone leaked the date to NeoGAF, and it will be coming December 22nd. So prepare your wallets, or if you're like us and you already have all the games that you probably will ever play, and chances are you probably have a few that we will never play, it's probably going to be another mess sale. Unless Feral drops some dirt bombs.
I don't know. I kind of wish Feral will drop some hit bombs, but what were we saying?
I mean, unless Tyranny goes on sale for stupid cheap, or maybe the Dwarves. We're going to talk about that a little later. There's not going to be much I'm all that interested in, but for those of you who want to pick up on some games that we threw chairs at, that was the primo opportune time.
It's the tyranny of normality, and when you apply that to Steam sales, it's a long, long way Linux has come.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's definitely an embarrassment of riches, because I was thinking it was like a sale, and they had the autumn sale, and I was like, I already got all these games. I have more games than we can play. It was like, hey, Vin. I was like, what other Vin? He It's like, you live in a bizarro world with Jordan and Pedro. Where you genuinely get more games than you will ever be able to play. So shut up, be grateful, and just tell everybody else. That's going to be brilliant.
I just love to picture Bizarro Ven as like a hardcore, diehard Windows user, but
But yeah, man, then I could play my VR headset, right?
Oh yeah. Well, if you're using Razer's OS VR, you might be able to. Valve has announced very quietly, mind you, and this is from Gamasutra, that the OS VR will be supported through Steam VR, which is a good thing. More hardware support is better. And considering the Steam or the OS VR is sort of the cheaper option of the three main ones out there, it will definitely make VR a little more affordable for everyone. Plus, they already have Linux support thanks to no small part to the community. So all we need to do is wait for that Steam VR Linux support, which is coming when, Brad?
Oh, we never said anything about. Oh, damn it, we did. Soon, Valve soon trademark symbol, right?
There was also another thing that they said during the Steam Dev Days, which is OS VR and Vulkan will be the big kickers for VR on Linux, and Vulkan is already out, so we're just waiting on Valve time for that. OS VR, on the other hand, it's according to the Gamasutra article, Razer and someone else co-funded the platform back in 2015. It was already available for Linux, as in the same way that the Unreal Engine 4 has an editor for Linux, because it was the community that did it. So we'll have to see.
As I said, yes.
Yeah.
But let's go on to broken promises, or maybe promises that are just empty.
Aptly named developer said, what is this? Dark Souls, right?
Darksiders.
Darksiders.
It's kind of like a
I wish
3D
it
Legend
were
of
Dark
Zelda
Souls.
type game.
Joke. Anyway, the lifelong question, people, it's like, come on, where's that Linux port you promised, Brad? And he's like, we tried to pick up work on the Linux port. We couldn't fix the remaining issues it had. Instead, we want you to buy a whole new game that may or may not get a Linux port. See? Come on, guys. Mm-hmm. Come on, guys. Just fucking admit it. You're not competent enough as a fucking company to deliver that Linux port, and you're too damn cheap to pay someone to do it.
But Vin, if we string people along, they might pick it up on sale so we can make some money off them, like the rubes that they are.
Yeah, no, in the long run, stringing people along by the dick, it's not going to be good. And judging by your current track record, that new game, it's not going to have a Linux port either.
Yeah. Well, what's the exact quote? Maybe War Bastard Edition will get a Linux port one day.
Yes.
In the far future.
One day.
Far beyond. Where we
maybe one day.
Pathetic little lives.
Yeah. That's just the true thing. I mean, you got to take everything with a grain of chainsaw. And that was a 100% non-answer. That was the Carmageddon of, well, as soon as we finish this game, and then they went and made another game. They're like, well,
okay. To be fair, that's better than Carmageddon, because in Carmageddon they just outright stopped addressing Linux altogether.
Yeah.
Didn't they also make some really weird trailer about running over penguins?
Yes, they did. Yeah, they did.
Well, something we genuinely did not believe was going to show up on Linux has.
Valve time, man.
Yeah, that's right. It's got a new update coming out in short order. Wednesday, December 7th. You're going to get the Starbase Art Blast. You're going to get a new arena. They're going to reskin a car and give you some more DLC. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. DLC, whatever. I don't care. But changing the look of the cars is like that is just going to ignite a holy war, if you ask me, man.
Well, the other thing that's coming down the pipe is they're bringing in Steam Workshop integration. So I wonder how long it's going to be until people start cloning like the DLC cars via just Steam Workshop.
It's a very, very nice way of saying pixelated floppy dildos running around on wheels, right?
Absolutely,
basically. But
why would you interpret that as anything else?
The whole redesign for the classic content, as they word it, just seems like another excuse to sell more car bodies as DLC, like they have been doing for the past however many years that the game wasn't on Linux. But yeah, no, it's just apparently they're going to be starting with the X-Devil and Gizmo, and they're going to streamline the bodies and do a lot of new stuff. They're probably going to change the hitboxes around.
That's
colorblind mode. That's nice. Yeah.
That's good for people who can't see colors. I mean,
I kind of got to agree with like Truggy and Shotrealm right now. He's like, they could fix the crashing issue. You know, this is an extremely performant game because no game nopes to your desktop quicker than Rocket Cars. You can go from score goal to whoa before you even blink. It's kind of amazing. So yes, that's a legitimate issue, and maybe it needs to come out of beta, but being fixed first. That would also be a bonus. So,
speaking of skins, this we're just including these stories every week just to fuck with Strider at this point because he hates it so much. This is from blog.counterstrike.net. They are adding lovely, lovely gloves. No fingerless gloves though, because that would be a little too naughty.
Wait a minute, are any of them power gloves?
No power gloves either. It's so bad. It really is. So now you can customize your hands because that's what you're staring at when you're playing Counter-Strike, right? The hands are not the people trying to actively shoot you. Or if you are, then maybe you're the type of idiot who actually...
Look, it's Valve's... Outside of selling games through Steam, it's Valve's moneymaker, and they're basically making money for free. They get to do it across a multitude of genres, too, because you get Dota 2, TF2, and Counter-Strike Global Offensive. So
I mean, every time I wonder if people actually buy into this stuff. I'm continually just disappointed in humanity.
Oh yeah, but yeah, no, it's just another cash cow for Valve, and it's let's see, the workshop for Counter-Strike Global Offensive maps. You can just download those for free. That's fine. But if you want like the weapon skins, it was just the weapon skins. Up until now, because now you also get gloves. You can buy a €2.35 key to unlock a box filled with gloves.
Or soundtracks now. Apparently they have additional tracks that you can unlock as well.
Oh yes, that thing I mute.
Apparently with your multi-core computer, this is we're going back to 1995 where running Winamp in a game was just too much. Couldn't happen.
Yeah, that thing I mute whenever I start the game. Yeah, I love that.
I don't know. Right. I'm just kind of hoping that they're like they'll work on my capacitive touch devices, and if that's the case, I'll still laugh manically and say, Valve, just make a game.
Touch me. I want to feel dirty.
Well, maybe this will help you.
Well, you can touch plenty of things in this new Myst clone type game called Quern. The Undying Thoughts, or just Undying Thoughts. I added an extra "the" there. Yeah, this is an exploration puzzle game in the style of in the old Myst games. And according to the Steam reviews, they currently have 20 user reviews for the game, and 95% of them are positive. And I'd also like to extend a big thanks, and in the way of disclosure, the devs for sending us some keys. So thank you very much for that. We will probably be throwing chairs at this at some point. But it looks really good. It was actually the reason I got in touch with him, because I was looking at the trailer and the screenshots. It's like, wow, that looks like a proper Myst. Let's see what that's about.
Yeah. And based on it, they're also integrating some sort of Resident Evil style puzzle mechanics where you just pick up stuff, and it's basically you have to do inventory management, and small items that you pick up at the beginning of the game will have impacts on the end of the game. It could be very well interesting. I don't know though. I've already had my fill of Myst type games. My therapist's office, waiting for my session to start playing Myst, and then having therapy for playing Myst.
No,
but you know, if you're a fan, give it a look.
With the original Myst, which infinitely inferior to Pissed with John Goodman, that was definitely a better game. This was one of the few games the avalanche of games that were thrown on us this week that I didn't get around to playing. But I looked at it as like somebody will get sued. But we'll see, man. And we have this, and then there's the spiritual successor to Myst. They did the Kickstarter Indiegogo. That released.
That's supposedly coming to Linux. It did have a Linux demo, to be fair.
Right.
Yeah.
So one thing I did get to play was this, and it looked a bit of all right, actually.
Me too. And it looks It looks surprisingly good, and it works really, really well for a Unity game. I mean, to be fair, the first thing you see when you launch Anima, Gate of Memories, memories? I don't know what I said, but someone
Animu, Gates of Memories. That sounds about right.
Anima, Gates of Memories. Gate of Memories, sorry. So yeah, the devs also sent us keys, or technically the publisher for this one sent us keys for this game, and I got to play around with it for like about 40 minutes, and even the big expensive areas that are usually the killers of performance in Unity games, in this game, you would constantly get like over 100 FERPs regardless of where you were or what you were doing. So that's pretty good. And the game doesn't look half bad either.
It doesn't look half bad, but if I got to be brutally honest with it, it's borderline enjoyable. James Cameron's bar had nothing, man. Where I started, was like, all right, let's see if this thing runs, because boom. And it's like, it's pretty good. Voice acting, fucking hilarious for all the wrong reasons. Take that with a grain of chainsaw, though, because I'm sitting there going, I could do that better, because that's what I do. And Pedro's 100% spot on with that. I mean, really good performance for a Unity game. And I was like, don't see that every day. I think my big takeaway from it was, if you would show me this and be like, this is an early access title, I'd be like, this is going to be so fucking good. But if you show me this and be like, this is completely 100% baked, I'm like, eh.
Yeah, it's the voice acting, from what I played at least, it's definitely on par with Devil May Cry 2 from the old PS2. The English voice acting for that game, so bad. And this is definitely right at that level. Now, interestingly, they had already sent me an email about this game when the Mac version came out. And I sent them an email telling it's like, oh, that's real nice and all, but we're a Linux gaming podcast, so we don't really want to talk about a Mac game. And then it came out for Linux, and I sent them an email. All right, you can send the keys now. And they did. Thank you.
What I found interesting, this is actually based on tabletop RPG, because I'm that kind of nerd. I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet, but it definitely does look good, and hopefully it lives up to the hype. If these guys are saying that it's not terrible, then I definitely need to give this a consideration.
Yeah.
But, you know, speaking of RPGs, the only reason I actually know about this next story is because my favorite band, Blind Guardian, is doing some music for it. And, you know, an album that has been in development hell for 10 years. God damn it. Where's Demons and Wizards 3, Hansi? I need my freaking epic metal.
Man, this thing better be something. $39.99 wet stinkies. Oof.
Yeah, it's a real-time it's kind of real-time strategy combat, but you can pause and coordinate things, which I actually kind of like. It's Transistor did that very, very well. This is based off of an existing fantasy novel series called The Dwarves. And to be frank, just based on the trailer, this already looks better than We Are the Dwarves, that other game that we played that kind of sucked ass.
Looking at it and all other things, like, yes, you're right, 100%. We need more tactical RPGs on Linux. It looks competently done, but then that price hit me, and I was like, well, it best be, right?
Yeah, and to be fair, they did have a Kickstarter, which they were funded at $310,000. I don't know what the original goal was, because the Kickstarter page doesn't say anymore. But they were successfully funded. So this is definitely a Kickstarter game. And I guess the price comes from the fact that if you wanted to get the game on their Kickstarter, you would have needed to pay $25. Yeah. So it's basically there's a bit more, but then again, they've already finished the game.
And credit where credit is due. They actually have proper system requirements, and we got to give shout outs to games that actually do that, because it's bullshit going to that Steam OS Linux tab and seeing garbage like we have for so many games. But coming up next, we talk about the infinite number of Minecraft clones out there. And Strider gets Neverwinter Nights working finally on his own without Pedro's help. Shock.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, stick around for the news. But before we get to that, we'd like to thank all of you giving us money very, very much.
Yeah, and you can give us money in a number of sexy and exciting ways that makes you a sexy and exciting person. Tell your friends. You can head over to LinuxGameCast.com. We have a support the chosen button that you can click. It is the rightmost link on the top bar. We got lovely Amazon affiliate links, which are if you don't have money to spend, but you do have money to spend on yourself for Amazon, you can click on those, do your shopping. We got them for the US and the UK. We get a little bit of the taste. It's a great way to help us out just by going about your daily business. And of course, we got the PayPal Donato buttons for those of you who don't want to take our preferred route, which is patreon.com/LinuxGameCast, where all the sexiest of the sexy people go to give us money to fuel this train wreck night in and night out. Yeah, we got 117 Patreon only posts, and that is growing at a fairly significant rate. We put out quite a bit of content that you can enjoy, from Game of Who or from Doctor Who riffs to just us playing video games, us just being freaking idiots and recording it. You can check that out, and don't forget, this is on YouTube, so you gotta like, comment, subscribe that shit, so that you get notified when we go live. Because we had a couple live streams this week. We're gonna try and have some more, and if we hit that 175 Patreon goal, we're gonna have some dedicated ones. So every Tuesday and Thursday, you might get some extra LGC in your face organ. But we have one lovely, sexy person to thank. That is Will Q, who kicked in some Patreons. Thanks a bunch. Your support helps keep this going because this shit's expensive. Our bandwidth fees are through the roof, and you help us out and enable us to provide you tons of valuable, well, not valuable, but mildly entertaining content that is better than sitting in a quiet room all alone. So,
indeed. So, Jordan, since you're so keen on the talking, what's this about?
No, I'm going to be silent. No, this is mine. This is Terasology. I'm front loading all my talking. I'm going to be quiet for the rest of this freaking segment. They have a Alpha 6 out right now. You can check it out on their GitHub. The link to that is in our show notes. It is another one of these C-based Minecraft clones. They've added alchemy, cooking, some edible substances, giggity, smithing, thirst, and workstation crafting. So that's going on. I mean, it always continues to astound me how many open source Minecraft clones are out there. I mean, as a programming experiment, it is definitely something interesting. You get to flex your programming muscles. You get to come up with a game that's already been fairly well defined that you can sort of take in your own directions. Maybe you want it to run faster. Maybe you want it to run on more than one thread. And maybe you want to avoid .NET like the plague that it is.
I don't know, man. I mean, yeah. I think everybody should have to make a Minecraft clone in like Pygame, right?
We have a few of those already. Terasology was that one that was, judging from the screenshots anyway, I don't think I ever managed to get it to work. But it looked like regular Minecraft if you applied some of the shader mods that are available out there. But yeah, it looks all right-ish. I still have to want to sit down and actually build it to give it a proper go.
I don't know. Minecraft clone, all I do, I draw something that's very phallic and find a mountain and go and look at my artwork, and I'm like, and we're done. So, we're also done with that story.
Just a point of correction.
Go.
It's Java-based, not C-based. Before someone corrects me.
Okay.
Via hate mail. But anyways, sorry, continue.
Linux-based? What? Ooh, this looks like magic.
Oh, yeah, my buddy Anthony sent this this way. One of my oldest friends, another Linux user that I've worked with back at the Fedora project, actually. He sent this to me and started laughing maniacally. This is from itsfoss.com. So apparently this Italian team has come up with something called Project Novatio. I hope I'm not butchering it. I don't care anyways. A Linux-based console that is capable of being upgraded, much like a Steam machine, but also has a special magical hardware sauce for actually running Windows games. They're under Linux. Their claim is that it works with every game they've tested on Steam. Now, that's a bold claim, Cotton. Let's see how it pays out. They have some poorly rendered images here. Apparently, they're going to do some crowdfunding stuff later in 2017. But, I mean, this is a fairly outlandish claim, so I figured I'd give it to you guys and see what you think.
Well, man, I definitely was looking at that. And if you were playing the home game with the videos, taking a look at that, you saw what I saw. Basically some poorly rendered 3D concept art with fucking all to back up any of their claims. So sign me the hell up, son.
No, actually, at the bottom of the page, they list their phone number. If anyone in chat realm or anyone watching us right now has free international calls, please give them a ring and see what they say. I'm kind of curious.
I mean, I have total faith that my Phantom console will arrive any day now. So, yeah, why not back this?
And I mean, the Ouya still has ongoing and vivid support, right?
Well, okay. Anybody want to take the Pepsi challenge on this one of being an Indiegogo campaign, so they don't have to have a functioning prototype on Kickstarter, and they can do flex funding? Anyone want to take that bet?
Yeah, no, that's totally
no.
where this is going.
That's how you lose money. You're probably going to lose more on that.
Let's logically look at this. What type of moon chip could? I mean, I can't even wrap my brain working around this, man. It's like, what? You've developed silicon, right?
It's an X99 board that's running a KVM on the second processor with a dedicated video card for the Windows ports, and they managed to integrate that reasonably well. That's stretching.
Maybe. I don't know. Hardware wine, coil wine. Anyways, it's worth checking out if you want to laugh, or maybe they have something. We could be proven wrong. So yeah. Project Novatio, prove us wrong, make us look like assholes, or you will be the assholes. So, Ben, you love Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Never heard of it, but Neverwinter Nights, man. We were talking about that at the beginning of the show. Yeah, good old games. I don't know, you might have like 20 nanoseconds if you rush over to GOG.com right now and try to yoink it. You can get it for free, the Diamond Edition or whatnot. And Strata was like, dude, I totally updated installer to work with that. I tried it. Nothing to complain about. I mean, I've never played Neverwinter Nights. It's never been my bit. I installed Lutris. You can go to lutris.net and do that. Links to this will all be in the show notes. You can just, boom, go right in there and do it. Strider, we got to talk about that UI design for Lutris, honey. I mean, I'm going to have to call you girlfriend. That was, oof. But did what it said on the tin. You know, you download your GOG executable, and boom, hit it, installed everything, launched on the first run. I clicked and made my guy move twice, and I was like, yay, I played Neverwinter Nights, and I immediately closed it.
Okay, if you didn't already have the game, like it was the case with me and Jordan, we already actually had the game. I do really hope you got a chance to get it for free on GOG, because Neverwinter Nights is my all-time Linux favorite game. No questions asked. The biggest thing, and the thing that keeps that game alive to this day, is the multiplayer. It was amazingly done, because as long as the server you were playing on didn't use any third-party hack packs, regardless of whatever module it was running, you could play it. You just go in, create a character, boom, you're in. Really awesome game.
Not to mention there is a plethora of third-party mods and hacks that are still floating around. That the Aurora engine was amazingly extensible. None of the dev tools were actually ported to Linux though, which was really fucking shitty. But yeah, regardless, there's a lot of content still out there, including a fairly faithful recreation of the Tomb of Horrors. If you want to check that out, of course, if you're like me and Pedro, we actually own the game. You bought it on GOG maybe years ago. You're probably kicking yourself. I actually still have a disc copy of this as well.
Me too. The deluxe edition.
Yeah. I actually have a disc copy of the Diamond Edition. But yeah, if you bought this game, tough titties, you have a gift copy of Neverwinter Nights you got for free now. So maybe we'll do it in a way of give. Who knows?
Yep.
Open source time. What is this? Oh, it's a crowdfunding thing. And I was like, yeah, but this is a little different. Can we call it Hexoshi? Because that's what it is. Definitely working on a... let's say Metroid-inspired, borderline,
borderline ripoff.
Yes. Similar to, but is legally distinct from.
But why will we mention this? Well, it's currently a Floss project that you can download and play for yourself if you're brave. They're currently looking for 1,100 wet stinky caches to kind of flesh things out. And they have a very reasonable breakdown, what they're looking for, some animations. Well, a lot of animations, and a wall jump power, 30 quid for that one, and new enemies, estimated 5 for the low price of 400 wet stinkies. But, they got a plan here, they got a system. I think it's kind of neat, because a lot of these, if this was closed source, not available, you can currently Head over to their GitHub page. I cloned the Git, went to launch it, and it was like, it needs Python, all the modules. And I was like, right, I'm out. Jordan?
Oh, it's actually a GitLab instance, but regardless, same shit. Yeah, holy crap! Did a Python dependencies, Batman? They're not. A lot of them were not even packaged in Fedora repos, so you got to bust out pip. If you don't know what that is, maybe look it up. You basically need all of the SGE, the Open Scene Graph stuff from pip, and a couple other ones that'll spew at you with Python dependency not found Python exceptions. Once you get all that, it does run. When you hit control, the game crashes, and I still haven't figured out how to shoot. I've literally hit every single button on the keyboard and nothing shot.
I was going to tell you to just smash your face into the keyboard, but you got to be careful because sometimes you'll write the opening scene of Twilight.
No, I think that's actually control, and there's probably something funky going on over there that it's causing the game to crash. Now, I looked at it, and I'm like, oh, look, another Metroid project. Yeah, because I really loved AM2R. Yeah, no.
It's because there's something's broken inside of you. That was actually pretty good. So was Axiom Verge, which was on sale last week. People should have picked that up. I think definitely one of the stretch goals for this game should be controller support, because fucking all if you're going to be playing this with a keyboard. This is like, no. And I think this would be an excellent candidate for one of the AppSnap flat pack dot thingies. Mm-hmm. Good idea. But good old Bethesda. Have they been dabbling in bird culture lately? They like
their dick moves. Yes. So you see, Bethesda, they came into possession of the Doom IP a while back, and now in 2016 they decided to send Cornell. I'm not even going to attempt that last name. I'm sorry, but he got a cease and desist email from Zenimax, the publisher, which is basically the same people behind Bethesda. They're literally the same people. It's just two different companies because, I don't know, legal loophole.
Kasilowitz, by the way, Pedro.
Yes. Kasilowitz. Okay. So he got a cease and desist letter for Doom the Roguelike. So if you don't know what Doom the Roguelike is, it's a really, really, really old Linux game, which is just a regular old roguelike with the Doom sprites, as they were. And you go around, you shoot some cacodemons, and you shoot some zombies. It's all well and good. And Bethesda were like, oh, that's right, we own the Doom IP. So we are going to basically play Big Bad Wolf to this one guy who is still maintaining the project, and just get him to stop using the Doom name and the sprites and everything else that we own. Now, for me, I really love Doom the Roguelike, so this is going to get a bit personal. Now, Cornell might have actually had a point in court. If DoomRL, because Doom the Roguelike has been around for a long, long time, and if Bethesda didn't really defend it until now, they don't get to do it anymore. In fact, and I actually did some digging into this, as early as 2005, Doom the Roguelike has been a thing. Bethesda didn't acquire the rights to the Doom IP until 2009, when they bought id Software. For 7 years, they've had the rights, and they didn't do anything until now. And the only reason they're doing it is because they know that's just the one guy, and he could never afford to stand up to them in court. So not only is ZeniMax not putting any games on Linux, because they aren't, they're actively attacking those that do. Fuck you, Bethesda. Fuck you.
Of course, there's a spiritual successor to Doom the Roguelike that is being kickstarted right now called Jupiter Hell, because you can't keep a good project down. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it was like, hey, man, you got to remove all this stuff. And he's like, I got a new project anyway. Peace among worlds, bitches.
And yeah, the big kicker about the new project is, if you look at that Twitter thread, John Carmack actually backed their crowdfunding campaign for Jupiter Hell.
Jupiter Hell.
Yes.
So it looks like Jupiter is definitely ascending. So,
or descending, as it were. Heyo.
Imagine a world where you have a new project leader. That's right, ZAD has a new project leader. This was presented at an event in Toulouse, Chicago.
Toulouse?
We're going to say Chicago. The previous project leader, Eric Johansson, decided to step down, but he's still going to remain on the team. And Nicholas Idis will take over the responsibilities. He said he's deeply honored and all that fun stuff. And I was just like, well, we have been seeing, just the bits of the shakeups, but man, project leader, that's a thankless ass job. Yeah. Good on him for, someone stepping up after someone was stepping down. And I personally think, ZAD, it's going to be a bit interesting because from outside perspective, at least here in Finland, it looks like the project has been running a little bit of all right, So, I don't know. What do you think?
Leadership transitions are always sticky, but if it's really just a matter of keeping on course, then there shouldn't be too many problems. I say now before the project goes up in flames.
Immediately catches fire and just dies. Let's hope not.
Because there it is. Like we're going to get on the Steam store and we're going to sell DLC and
Zero AD is one of those insane projects, and the scope of what they're trying to accomplish alone, and I'm not a big fan of real-time strategy games, I'm not, but the scope of what you're trying to accomplish is nothing short of balls to the walls amazing. And I would almost compare them to OpenMW, so good on them. And I hope that the new or the shift in leadership doesn't really change the progress that they've been making. Hopefully it will actually improve the progress, and maybe they'll get something closer to a finished version, or at least a release candidate, maybe.
I don't think this game will ever see like a finished version. That's the nature of open source games. They will always continue to be hacked on, always continue to be improved. I think that's the advantage of the open source model for games. It does make it a little hard to peg down a stable version, though.
That's definitely one of the issues with a lot of open source games, and we've received more than one piece of mail. It's like, why don't you review game X? And I'm like, tell me when game X is going to be finished, and we might then we review whatever, build whatever. Like, well, how can you possibly review that game? It's not finished. It was just like, that's
you can't win,
right?
Well, speaking of games you can't win, we're going to be throwing some shares at one. Tune in for our review of Dead Age. We've got a chance on a silver plate to do things right, to do it straight. But we're just going to be playing Dead Age. This is the CHAIRQUISITION for Dead Age, the aforementioned game, developed by Silent Dreams on the Unity engine. You can pick it up for around 15 of your local currency, whatever that might happen to be. What is it? Survive a zombie outbreak with Final Fantasy-like turn-based combat and permanent death. Manage survivors, craft materials, and make difficult decisions. Defend your camp against the hordes of undead. Prevail in this non-linear roguelite. Comparable to FTL, innovative indie survival RPG. Mandatory disclosure. The devs did send us some keys to check this game out, and so we are throwing the chairs at it. Speaking of which, 1 chair means that it's garbage. 2 chairs means that it's meh. 3 chairs means that it's pretty good. 4 chairs means that it's amazeballs. We also got our categories: Doom, Mixed with the Working, Shiny Sounds, Controls, and Foon. So let us kick this off then. How did Dead Age work?
Over here on the Ubuntu 1604 box of business, 980 powered, UHD displayed. Ran pretty good, Brent. Usually about 60 at 1080p. Didn't really want to enhance the fugliness of this at 3840 by 2160, so I kind of left it at that. However, one issue. This is 2016. And as soon as you launch this, you get the Unity scream of nope popping right in your face organ. That doesn't fly. That doesn't fly. And more importantly, that cost you a chair. 3 chairs.
Yeah, I got to echo Ven's sentiment on that for sure. But the game can't make up its mind if it's going to pulse audio underrun or not. It's a bit of a coin flip. Usually games are a little more decisive than that because of good audio coding practices. Pedro will get into that a little more in depth. But for me, on Fedora 64-bit with the i7 6700K GTX 980, 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM, etc., this gets 3 chairs.
Indeed. So the first thing I saw when I launched this game was the Unity screen of nope. That gets you -1 chair right then and there. Then I got to the main menu, and the first thing I heard was static. Now, I opened PAVU control while the game was still running, and I see the game audio stream flickering in and out. Oh, buffer underruns. Lovely. You know what that means? Bust out the pulse latency msec equals 60% command percentage and put that in the Steam launch options. And hey, it stopped doing that. But that nets you -1 chair. Over here on the FX 8370E with the GTX 1080. So you get 2 chairs.
All right, well, that's 2 chairs for Mix with Working. Up next is Shiny and Sounds. Ven, tell us about it.
Why the fucking all did you not do this game in 2D? Why? You should have did it, man. But no, you had to make the combat scenes all 3D-ish. Your 2D art, man, I mean, it's completely passable, but the 3D looks like the side project of a teenager who has a mild interest in art and or design. I mean, seriously? Even the animation rigging on the zombies during your turn-based combat is just janky. And yeah, I know you're kind of going for a sense of humor with their fucked up poses and their equivalent, Elvis shaky knees. But all you did, man, all you did was just add to the fugly that was already there. I mean, it just fell flat. You should have went full metal Darkest Dungeon and stuck with like a 2D aesthetic for the entire game. If this thing had sounds, I didn't even notice. I was too focused on like the glaring, half competently done 2D resource managing map, which is part of the game, versus is like, oh, look, Unity asset store of the game with really shit rigging, and it was very jarring and out of place. Technically, it showed stuff on my screen organ, and I guess it made a sound, and I didn't have any horrible fantasy noise like Pedro and Jordan, so I'll give you 2.
Yo, God, does the 3D models really clash? They stand out in not a good way. So modern Final Fantasy games, even before they started moving to more real-time based combats like Yaoi Simulator 2017 and Final Fantasy 13, they moved away from having your 3D dudes in a row and have more dynamic cameras and are taking advantage of the fact that you exist in the realm of 3D. Show a more dynamic scene. In this game, not so much. You have the 3D-ish backgrounds with the really, really oddly shadowed 3D models that look like they're straight out of the Unity Assets store there. And I mean, the out of combat stuff is fairly basic map art type stuff, so it doesn't get or lose any points for that because it's not exceptionally beautiful. Also, one thing that really stands out, Fen pointed this out, I noticed it as well. What's with all the zombies kind of derping around in the background in the combats? They're just kind of there. If they were sort of like an oncoming threat, that would be kind of something, but it's not. And like the man says, the sounds are there. I heard them. Do I care about them? Do they really stand out or make an impact? Not really. So this gets 2 whole chairs.
Yeah, first impressions with this game didn't exactly sell it. The 3D models, like Jordan already mentioned, they look like what you'd get from a $20 pack off of the Unity Asset Store. The combat animations are simple, but full credit to them, different attacks all have different animations. So, at least to some degree. And after you've played the game, even if it's just in the same exact combat scene, after you've played a couple of rounds, you immediately learn to recognize what the animations mean. So I guess that's a positive. Sounds, though, they're overly simplistic and obnoxiously loud when you have like a big old pair of headsets with 3 drivers on each earpiece constantly blaring into your ears. Yeah, that's pretty goddamn loud. And that is if you can hear them, because if you don't set that pulse latency msec to 60, you did just a garbled, staticky mess. So for me, get 2 chairs.
All right, so that's 2 chairs for Shiny, and sounds up next is Control. Then, does it work with your Nintendo Power Pad?
Nope, didn't work with the Power Glove either. Even tried my new Thrustmaster steering wheel. Nada. Very highly disappointed. But no, in reality, this is your standard point and click, Gotron, okay, click, 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 wait, click, 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 wait. And that's really all you do. Your combat menu when you're fighting in the turn-based system, it's wicked simple. You'll have like your gun attack, your melee attack. You can dig around in your backpack for stuff that you're never going to have in the first place. There's a medic option for, just like slight power-ups and readiness. Nothing bad, extremely simple, nothing advanced. It's kind of a downside. I'll talk more about that in the fun section. And the resource management menu is where you'll be giving the game most of your business. It's done fairly well, much like a notebook thrown out with like sticky tabs on it. It's not horribly confusing. There are some things in there. I was like, oh, that's how I do that. And it took, 2 or 3 seconds, but nothing to scream negatively about its mother towards. So I'll say 4.
Yeah, I mean, the UI is fairly simplistic and a little uninspired, to be frank, especially in combat. Outside of combat, though, when you're doing the resource camp management, whatever the hell it is, I mean, it's reasonably done. They like Ben said, they do it in a journal style to sort of keep it in theme with what's going on. But again, it's all very basic. There's no fancy bells and whistles. You can figure things out just by clicking around a bit. So no real issues there. I'll give it 4 chairs, though, again, not very inspired, but functional.
Yeah, it is definitely functional. It's just mouse driven all the way. You click on things and the things act as though they had been clicked on. So I have no complaints when it comes to the controls. 4 chairs.
All right, well, that's 4 chairs for Controls. Let's wrap this boy up. Then, did you have fun with Dead Age?
Finally get a laugh out of me. Good. No, I didn't, because it's get out of the way, man. It's extremely boring, Brad. It is. All you do, you're either fighting zombies or you're selling limited shite that you did, or maybe crafting. I don't know. That's further in the game than I gave enough fucks to get to. The fighting itself is the most generic click and wait one swing thing I've ever seen. There's not much to compare it to, and that is a large chunk of the game. He's like, well, you need to fight 23 fights and all this during the day on Wednesday after 6 p.m. or some shit like that. I was like, so boring. You just click, wait, and it's the animations. One hit, boop, one hit, boop, one hit, boop. That's all there are for you. And yes, I was watching when Jordan was doing his live stream of this game earlier this week. There's a bunch of zombies doing fucking all in the background. And I was like, well, could they at least Thriller or some shit could break out and keep me visually entertained? It's not challenging either, because you know whether or not you can hit these fights, because it's like, okay, you're going to be hitting this and this and this, just whatever the random zombie generator spits out. There's no like Darkest Dungeons like, oh, maybe I could pull this off. Maybe I can. This is, you can read that and it's like, nope, I'm fucked on that one. We're not even going to bother with it. Then you waste a day and all that. So at the end of the day, all you're left with is the resource management part of the game. That's passable at best, I guess. But what really gets me about this is if you go to the Steam store page and you look at the 477 positive reviews out of 471 purchases, that shit is fishy as hell. Absolutely. Then you read those reviews and they're like, game is good. I like game. That's the vast majority of them. And you go to the negative, you're like, oh, look, people who actually played the game. I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm just saying, that's what I'm saying. Well, what I am saying is you get 1 chair for this piece of shit.
Oh, speaking of the resource management nonsense, I actually got a mission that's like, find flip-flops, sell it to the merchant. The merchant had flip-flops, so I bought it from him sold it back to him, and then I got the XP. I suppose that sort of goes hand in hand with the RNG element, where sometimes shit like this happens, but it was just something that really stood out. But to the review proper, I get what they're trying to do, but I don't think it really works all that well. At first, I thought the massive number of hit points your character had in relation to the enemies was kind of weird, but then I sort of get what they're going for, where each fight grinds you on and on and on until you're really, really low, and you're like, oh, can I make it out of this fight? Should I run away? And it sort of goes downhill, though, when you realize if you can't find rations, you lose 20% of your health and you don't get any health recovery. But those rations will never, ever spawn because the RNG just hates your guts. And yeah, I mean, still, the turn-based Final Fantasy style combat isn't really the best match for a zombie apocalypse. It just doesn't really work. It doesn't really help with the tension as you sort of watch your HP meter slowly drain. It's less, oh god, am I going to make it out of it? And more, oh god, this is going to keep going until I die, isn't it? The FTL influence is really, really clear. But I feel they kind of missed the point, because resources aren't actually that scarce in FTL. You're guaranteed at least one shop per subsector, and there are other events that can give you resources. I get scarcity is supposed to be a big thing in the zombie apocalypse game, but even then, one of the coolest things about FTL is the exploration, because you will go from node to node. You can sort of pick your own path and have your own little sci-fi adventure. This one is just sort of you jump from encounter to encounter, and you have the choice to engage or run away. That's it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it does what it can to emulate the conditions of a zombie apocalypse in a turn-based context, and it sort of works. It's just not very fun. And the resource management part is kind of there in the background. I don't think I've ever really run into a situation where I can engage with those elements of the game, because the enemies don't drop enough loot to allow you to do so. Honestly, if you want to play a fun zombie survival horror type game, two games that do this sort of thing a lot better are Oregon Trail and Death Road to Canada. You should definitely play those instead. One chair.
Yeah, honestly, the presentation of this game was so bad, I didn't even feel like it could do anything to change my opinion. But, and if that makes me sound like a hypocrite, hold on. As I keep saying, I'll take a game which looks like complete ass so long as the base mechanics are, at the very least, sound. And chances are I'll find something to enjoy, and I'll be damned. I did find something to enjoy with that age. Not enough for me to keep playing it, but there it is there. Now, they say it's got roguelike elements like you'd see in FTL, but I think I can find an even better comparison. And Jordan already mentioned Death Road to Canada, so I'm going to say Dead Age is what This War of Mine would have been if you had put zombies in it, and you weren't constantly telling me that the people I was supposed to be playing Guardian Angel for were miserable all the goddamn time. Now, a little aside here, This War of Mine was one of those games that, besides the already oppressive and overbearing atmosphere, would rather tell me that the people were feeling sad or hungry or cold or miserable than it ever did about making me care about those poor widow people. Fuck that game. Now, when it comes to Dead Age, on the other hand, people here are badass. Disproportionate Unity stock assets, but badass nonetheless. Even if the models aren't store-bought, the default Unity shader configs make it look... Well, they just make a certain subgenre of games look very similar. But Dead Age manages to show us that even with stock assets and the default shader config, so long as you can make the mechanics of your game sound, players will find something to like about it. And while I didn't hate the turn-based combat, the micromanagement crap that you have to do while in camp is what kind of killed it for me. I mean, from the get-go, your character is rescued by complete strangers from the zombies, and the moment he gets to camp, he goes to sleep, and when he wakes up, look, he's the leader. He gets to pick and choose what each and every single person does. That right there, through any and all willing suspension of disbelief I had, And it's just right out the window and straight into a zombie's ass. What? 2 chairs.
All right, well, that's 1 chair for fun. And if we tally all this nonsense up, we get 2 whole chairs for Dead Age. So, gentlemen, final thoughts.
If the game wasn't boring enough, they did add a recent feature called casual mode, to where it's not even like Spidey fuck killy at all. So you're genuinely just wasting your time looking at it. And I personally think even with, the because fuck you, that's why difficulty level of this. And I was like, I get it. And no, I don't ever want to come back to this. Darkest Dungeons. I loathe turn-based strategy. Darkest Dungeons at least got me. I was like, oh, all right. I'll have another go at this. This is like, yeah, the only other thing I'm going to do to this game is uninstall it.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I'll be a bit more positive about it and say that for a game which has all the hallmarks of a shovelware title, it's surprisingly well thought out. And even though I wasn't a big fan of it, well, all 3 of us weren't particularly big fans of it, the positive score in the Steam reviews, shady as it may look, is probably an indicator that they did something right. So I'm going to give them that.
Yeah, they had a solid concept, and I think with a little more work, they may have had a proper game out of this. But as it stands, basically the moral of this story is RNGesus hates your guts. So coming up next, we got some hate mail. The Zorios guy is at it again, trying to pick fights with us, or maybe not. Who knows? We'll find out.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you don't think we've inflicted enough pain on you up to this point, well, here's the hate mail. Yes, if you'd like to inflict some pain on us, you can send your poorly worded messages through LinuxGameCast.com. You hit the contact button, you fill out the form. It's easy enough. The only difficult part is picking which show you want to send the feedback or the hate mail to, and filling out whatever happens to be the CAPTCHA that time around. Or just in case you happen to find the show on YouTube, you can leave us a comment there. If you see any one of us post the show on any of the social medias, you can comment there too. Chances are, if it's relevant, we will feature it right here, right now. So, last week we did mention some Dying Light on the hate mail.
Hey man, Random ASCII comes out and he's like, I'm going to call bullshit on the person saying Dying Light runs well. An overclock to 4 gigajoules and a new CPU cooler later, the game floods both of my cores with a load average, implying that there is no way in hell I could overclock my Pentium G3
it's a Pentium. Okay.
Oh, it's all about the Pentiums, baby. Enough to run this without liquid cooling in Antarctica. Because of this, I struggled to get the game above 30 FERPs on low. I will give them that the GPU requirements aren't bad. A GTX 560 seems to be enough to play this game on medium if you have the CPU for it. It could handle high, if not for the VRAM needed to run it at a higher graphical setting. Speaking about the gameplay, it would be amazeballs if not for how quickly the weapons die. You also mentioned multiplayer being shit. I can attest to that.
Now, to be fair, you are playing it on a Pentium G3258. Now, that is a very good processor for the money, especially since the AMD Athlon X4 860K has now shot up to like $100 when it used to be 70. It was actually down to 65 at one point. But yeah, no, you're basically stretching what your CPU can do at that point. It's probably not going to work. And the way you describe it, yeah, you're hitting a CPU bottleneck.
Yeah, that's one of the problems with Linux games. That's why I got the i7 here, because you need that single core performance for most Linux ports.
Oh, baby, I just can't wait to rub my Zen processor all over your face, Oregon. was like,
and then it turns out to be crap.
That's assuming.
Come on. Don't make me regret that $800 purchase. Come on. Sucks and
Team Blue bitches. All right. Oreos from Sven, not my brother, but a Sven nonetheless.
Yeah, he says 0.04 has been named Shoto after Shoto Habat, a character in Knights of the Old Republic 2. 0.1 didn't have a release. 0.2 was named Arabeth after the chick from Neverwinter Nights. 0.3 was named after Bastila from KOTOR. Basically, what I'm going for is to iterate over the alphabet and the games both in sequence. So the nickname for 0.05, slated for early next year, should be starting with a D and be a character from Jade Empire. I'm taking suggestions. Oh, you maybe don't want to do that.
D, yes.
Also, downplaying the other people working on Zorios as random contributors is, well, not really in the spirit of the Thanksgiving post of mine. I do appreciate the contributions of every single line, thought, help, advice, etc. to Zorios.
Yes, etc. Now, I was definitely one of the big down players, and I know Ven has actually replied to Sven on YouTube, but yeah. I didn't mean to imply by any means or measure that you, Sven, were downplaying their contributions. If anything, I was the one downplaying them, and for good reason. I love the Zorios project, and I want to see it succeed. I want to see you and your project get to a point where you can actually play Neverwinter Nights. You can play The Witcher, the very first one, using just Zorios and the data that from those other games. But clearly the quote-unquote random contributors or random contributions aren't enough. You need a hell of a lot more of them. And preferably, just saying, not random contributors, but people who actually want to stick around and help.
I think he's just mad at you because he's stuck using a decompiler.
This is Assembler.
Hey, man.
Decompiler, exactly.
I mean, I get it. You know, not everything comes across over the internet. Well, all right. You're right. Threw a picture under the bus because you were just listening to his voice. We can't get away. I was like, damn, if we only had the blink tag back, we could have communicated properly. But no, man. I mean, I did write back. It was like, we didn't mean to whiz anyone's Cheerios. And, but yeah, hey, just wanted to plug the project. That's what we did. Thanks for getting back to us and letting us know things we did not yet.
Indeed. And like I said, it would be wonderful to actually have a Witcher game on Linux for once. It'd be really, really cool.
All right. So I guess that about wraps us up.
No, it doesn't. There's still more.
No, because on that bombshell, let's cue the music, because you can always find us around 9:30 Eastern Time. Put that into a clock somewhere, transmogrify it, and it will spit out when you should wake up and tune in. Also follow us on the YouTubes or the Twitches. Make sure you got the notifications on, because we don't fucking know when we go live.
Oh, yeah.
They do, and they will give you those notifications. If you want to scream in my direction personally, at Vinstone on the Twitter nets, you know I'll get back to you there. Or plus Vinstone on the G+. I try to get back to everyone, but I do wake up with 70 othering notifications on G+ every morning, so it could take time.
I'm Jordan Svung. You can find me retweeting funny stuff, etc. at The Burning Fool on Twitter, plus Jordan Svung on Google+.
And you can find me not paying attention to Jordan on any of the social medias, or even while we're recording the show live, and I end up reiterating stuff that he's already said. I am Pedro Mateos, and you can find me at Unaccounted For on Twitter, or plus Pedro Mateos on Google+.
So,
by the way, he is Pedro Mateus, and you can find him at Unaccounted For on Twitter, or plus Pedro Mateus on Google+.
I am Pedro
Thanks,
Mateus.
Appreciate it.
I was like, no, I'm not brown enough to be Pedro. That's not...
You're too purple, man.
Purple monkey dishwasher.
If you ask Ven's camera, yeah, he's goddamn purple, all right.
Well, technically it's magenta, but whatever.
Yeah, it's more, but you can just feel the circuitry verbally say, oh, hells no.
No, we're not dealing with that. Nope.
5 dudes.